All right, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is King of Cards Tarot Readings. I'm so glad you could make it. Today we have a general collective reading, and you know, so far all of these readings have felt really good. I haven't had anything come through yet that I really feel I need to be alarmed by. I do think there is always an element of warning, like a guardrail on a freeway. It's not saying, it's not saying that there's a likelihood of you going off the road. It's really saying, in the chance that you might go off the road, there's a preliminary element that will not be fun, will scratch your car, but the act of you scratching your car is the result of the interference that keeps you from going over the edge. So, there's a reason why that's coming forward to me right now. And yeah, I just want everyone to know that whatever level of warning there is, it can all be avoided. And whatever can't be avoided is still for your benefit and is keeping you from, the abyss. There's nothing wrong with the abyss. In fact, perhaps you should throw caution to the wind, drive through the guardrail, and seek out the abyss. But that's not what this reading is saying, so I'll get into it. First thing, you've all, I hope, viewed the induction or viewed some of the messages I've done already, or you're coming back here after having watched future readings that haven't even been brought through yet in my time. But by that time, this time will be the past. I love that. So, these are timeless readings. Whenever this comes to you, it's meant for you, it's coming through me. So, I am biased. I am seeing these cards in the way that I choose to see them. And you can look past me, you can see the cards themselves, or you can let me be the reader and see what I'm filtering through and why it is that you happen to be here watching this right now, whenever that is. Alright, so for our main issue today, we have the Queen of Discs. She is the watery aspect of Earth. This is an interesting card. So, as the watery aspect, she is an emotional card. However, she is the watery aspect of Earth, which is material. So, she's the emotional aspect of objects or places. I like to think of her as like the way you feel in a certain place, or the way an object makes you feel. Um, she reminds me of like the way we place things in our environment to hold frequencies, to hold feelings, and the way in which, like, if you ever like cleaned out a closet or a desk drawer, and objects from your past that you'd forgotten even existed come out. And as you encounter those things, you get this interesting combination emotion. You get the feeling that the thing produces in you, like the specific object and its emotional anchors in your world. But then you also get this secondary emotion, which is kind of the primary emotion I think the Queen of Discs holds for me, which is that feeling of remembrance. Because as much as like finding a string of Chuck E. Cheese tickets reminds you of that specific time, you're like, ah, my ninth birthday party. Why didn't I spend these tickets? Oh, yeah, we left early because that thing happened. Oh, like there's that, the specific memory. But then that feeling of, I guess nostalgia is the blanket term, but like that feeling of reconnecting with a far flung moment in time. That feeling of connection. Like, you don't get to feel that feeling like the day after that party, or even like a year after. Because as long as it's just about that memory, it's just about that memory. But as soon as you're far enough away from a thing to like forget it, once that thing resurfaces, there's this new emotion of like, ah, reconnection to something I'd lost. Like, not the feeling of loss, of like, oh, I long for this past thing. It's like, no, the thing was gone from you. You'd let it go. You weren't holding on to that memory. It wasn't something you thought about occasionally. It's only brought forward through this object. And maybe there's multiple objects from that time that would evoke the same feeling, but they wouldn't evoke that feeling if you thought about this moment regularly. So yeah, that's what's coming through for me for this main issue right now is the way objects tie us to these distant moments and the way that things we hold on to disappear. They are lost from us through our living, through our focus on the now, or our focus on the pasts that we hold on to. And there are these resurfacings that can come from places or objects. And really, I think this ties into the connection between places and objects. So, yeah, I guess, you know, a lot of people would take court cards as representing a person. So, I'm going to let that be available to you. This card could be pointing at someone in your life who either has resurfaced or someone who stays present enough in your life and holds you to a past place that they have been the thing that has gotten you to forget about these other times, places, spaces that are about to resurface for you as you clean and uncover lost objects. So, yeah, we'll let that sit for a second and we'll come back to it once we've examined the opposals. So, our right hand opposal, which I'm going to call your ally, your guardian, your helper, and your future, we have the Princess of Discs. So, she's the earthy part of Earth, and I like to think about her as the essential part of an object. So, she's like the core of the thing. Like, I like to say, how much can you remove before the thing stops being itself? Um, yeah, and she sits in that place, for me at least. Let's see here. What else can I say about her in this placement? So, her stability comes from really the lack of emotion, the lack of thought. She's really pragmatic in that sense. So, like a pair of scissors, or like a sponge you use every day, or like anything in common use, anything that gets the job done. Like, it's overlooked. It's so essential that you can't imagine it not being present, right? So, again, as a court card, this could represent a person in your life. So, like, for some people, this is the server at your favorite restaurant. Or if you're the server, this could be like the quiet person in the kitchen, like the dishwasher, who, if they walked out, you'd be fucked. Things would grind to a halt. You'd be like, "Whoa, how do we move forward?" But when they're present, when they're working, you don't even question it. You don't congratulate them. You don't praise the work they do because it seems so necessary. So, yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna put a pin in her for a second, but we're just gonna say that she's really important to this. Whether she's an aspect or a person, she's really important in moving through this emotional anchor upheaval. Okay, and then our left hand opposal, we have, um, which again, I'm going to call your past, where you're coming from, or the force that's sort of working against you in this upheaval. And so this is good. Wow. So this is the 10 of Wands, which Wands is fire, and that has to do with action. And 10 is the fullness of that manifestation. And they call this card oppression in this deck. Um, I like to think of this card as representing like the full range of what an action can do. So, like, let's imagine a knife that is used to cut steak. I don't know. So, when you're cutting steak, you can't cut the plate, right? So, The knife goes through the steak until it hits the plate, and then the plate serves as like a stopper for the blade. You push all the way through the meat till you hit the plate, but the knife doesn't go through the plate to the table. So the range of the blade is through the steak to the plate. The plate is the end of its effect. And so, yeah, interesting. So, I'm seeing a real interplay here between this Ten of Wands reversed and the Princess of Discs. Because the Princess of Discs is this unquestioned object which, without the full range of the object, is not present, right? She's the object that the action is done through and with. And this action done by the object, here represented by the Ten of Wands, it has a limit. And that's really what we're looking at, is its limit basically being either unacknowledged uh, in this reverse portrayal, or yeah, it's like an attempt to do more than the object can do. So in the example, it's like trying to cut through the plate with the blade that the plate is meant to stop. Now there are blades that cut plates, but you have to get the plate cutting blade if you want to cut the plate. And then you have to get the table cutting blade to cut the table. Like each thing has its own object that it is subject to, or a class of objects it is subject to, or each object has its level of things it can subdue. And so these two cards on either side of this Queen of Discs makes me think that the emotion these objects evoke, yeah, so it's this secondary emotion of being connected to something at a distance. Ooh. It it doesn't acknowledge the object itself, the Chuck E. Cheese tickets, and it doesn't conform to the range of what the object is able to do. Because now the object is not doing what it does, it's connecting to this ability of nostalgic reflection. Ooh, so yeah, this person, and it could be you. I tend to read these readings for the person I'm reading, but as I'm getting into this general collective approach, I'm starting to see how some of you are going to relate to parts of this, and others of you are going to relate to other parts of this. And this is where, as I've done personal readings in the past, I have been sensitive to the range, but now I'm realizing there's more of a spread in these generals. So, if you are finding the Queen of Discs coming up in you, if you have been cleaning things out or returning to old places and feeling yourself drift away from the now, remember that these objects have a purpose or had a purpose, and that once the object is lost from its purpose, the only thing it can do is engage in this nostalgic drift. That's good. And, you know, I think a lot of people would point to this idea of only having objects that serve a function. I've heard a lot of people say that, and I think there's value in allowing that approach to lead your cultivation of objects in space, but I don't think that's the only way to read this. So, also, if you're not the one going through this, then it seems to me that someone in your life is like holding on to a past version of you, all while expecting you to just serve your function, but at the same time, not acknowledging the limits of what you can do. Yeah, that's really what's coming through more for me as I examine this. So, um, yeah, wow. Now, also notice that this is a mother daughter relationship. So, for some of you, this could be what's going on here. This could be a mother of a daughter holding daughter to the image that the mother casts upon the world, and simultaneously the mother looking to the daughter to cast the world in a new image for her. So, in that sense, the two wands of oppression of the ten are really this the mirroring of the two people both trying to show the other their truth, and neither one being able to see the truth of the other outside of their own filter because they're both so held on to, they're both so, they're both, how do I say this? They're both so convinced the other is this past self. So the daughter sees the mother as her past self. The mother sees the daughter as her past self. When both of them have changed so much since that past that they hold each other to. And so what I'm seeing is a reminder that the people in your life are not their past selves. They're whoever they are now, and they don't know who that is. They're looking to you to help them see themselves now. They're asking you, who am I now? And that's really what the bringing out these things from the past, the nostalgic drift, the using the thing to the end of its range to try and find its limitations. Um, yeah. So, just initially here, before I jump to the deck card, if this is you drifting to the past, let yourself drift, but see the drifting. Don't don't confuse the drifting for that past event. Don't let that 9-year-old birthday party be the thing you latch on. Rather, let it be the knife that cuts the steak of your attachment to nostalgia. And let it be the plate that stops the blade of your attachment as you cut that chunk of your lost past off and realize that there's so much more lost moments that if you could only find the object or one of many objects that would link you to that place, you would be right back in nostalgic drift. And that's its own feeling, the drift. And look to the daughter of yourself, the future of your own personhood, and know that you are not that person you once were, and you're only the person you are for another short while. And the person you're about to be will look back on this person that you are when it uncovers the object that it reminds it of you in the future. Again, like I said to those of you who have come back to this video after watching a future video, this is the dynamic I'm talking about. This is what's coming through for me. Look backward to see yourself looking forward, and then look forward to see yourself looking backward, and understand that we are connected across these time gaps, and know that who you are in any of these moments is more than enough for any of the full range of what you can be. Yeah, this is a tough one. This is a real tough one. And I think what it's really pointing at is like forgive others for not seeing you, and forgive yourself for not seeing the full range of what other people are. Whew, wow, what an intense reading. This is a long one. Okay, and so then next, the deck card, we have 10 of Cups. This is interesting. So we have two 10 cards, and then we have two disc cards. Um, so 10 of Cups here, water energy, which echoes this Queen card and her watery energy. And 10 of Cups is called satiety, which is analogous to satisfaction in our current English lexicon. And satiety refers to basically a system in full function. It's not capacity in the sense of overload. It's not like, oh, we're at capacity, we can't handle it. It's more like, ah, we've we've filled all the seats and no one's waiting for a seat. Like, this is perfect. This is just what we wanted. And yeah, that to me shows how the Queen of Discs and the Princess of Discs are meeting each other's needs and are like needed by each other. They are they are themselves the root and the branches, like exchanging what they take. One takes from the ground and gives to the sky, the other takes from the sky and gives to the ground. They they transport opposites through each other, or through themselves to each other, through each other to themselves. It's very harmonious. And so, yeah, this 10 of Cups is saying feel at peace with the apparent striving, the apparent mismatch, the apparent imbalance. It's not imbalanced, it's a balancing act. And as soon as one is out of balance, like the other one matches it. It is very. I don't know the word there. What is it? What is that word? It's very self correlating. It's ecological. There isn't a possibility for waste here. It's just not possible. Whatever is waste is raw material for the other, and whatever the other wastes is raw material for the other. Yeah, this is very good, but frustrating reading, and that's the frustration that these both feel, this mother daughter feel. Their frustration is the counterpoint to this satisfaction, to this satiety. They're really frustrated by the balance. They're looking for imbalance, or something feels out of balance. And that feeling of things not being balanced is really what impels them to rebalance and redouble the effort to balance. Yeah, so this is a tough one. It's a hard one to give a real good. Again, it's what I said before I looked at the cards about the guardrail. This idea that as you skid against the guardrail, you go, "Oh fuck. Shit. Scraping my car." And like, yeah, it would be better for it to be a non-event. Yeah, so that's the thing. So non-event, just stay on the road, stay in your lane. That's the, I guess. So like, don't clean the drawer. Don't clean the closet. Right now is not a good time for that. Just leave it there. Just leave the fucking tickets in the drawer. Don't reflect on Chuck E. Cheese. If you start to feel nostalgic drift, just close the fucking drawer. Go put on a TV show that doesn't remind you of the past. Just like, don't do that right now. And if you do, if you're already there, it's fine. That's keeping you from something else. This guardrail is keeping you from the abyss. And like I said, maybe you're better off careening. But in that case, you gotta hit the rail hard, or you gotta go off at the points where there is no rail. So, this has been an interesting reading, everybody. I'm really grateful for everyone who comes here. And yeah, there's gonna be more of this. Thank you. Your attention impels me to do more of this to prepare for futures that will look back. And watch this again. Listen to this again. Maybe right away, or maybe in the future when you've forgotten it. And let it cascade you back to now. Um, really, I don't know what else to say. But thank you, everybody, for showing up. Until next time, be well. Blessings to you from me here at King of Cards. And like I've said before, like I'll say again, please like and subscribe.